Okay, so today we're going to start working on the front end for this variable stuff. Okay, so if you missed the sessions where I implemented the back end of the calculations for the variable, you can check out the previous videos in the playlist, or click here or there, or I don't know, click somewhere, and check that out. Otherwise, I'm going to jump into the front end. So I'm just going to do a little rearranging the desktopies here. Okay, so what we have here is we have the local version of the application running on my computer, and then over here we have the code, and then this is my terminal where the application is running. So I have the server running. I know that it is working with the variable. Variable is being returned. So here we have it's part of the birth profile with variables. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up this GraphQL query a little bit using a thing called fragment. And so what I'm gonna do is because see, so if you look at this query, right, determination, environment, perspective, and motivation, all are returning the same type of data. So they all have color, tone, arrow, type, and subtype. And that's a lot of repeated text, right? We don't need to do that. So we can use a GraphQL feature called a fragment. And so we can call this like variable fields. And then at the bottom here, we're going to go and we just define the fragment outside of the query. Okay, and see that still works, right? And so now we're just going to replace the other places where we have these with this variable fields, just like we did here. Like that. Okay, so just verify that it still works. So we have a working fragment. And so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to take just this inner part here on the birth profile, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put it in over here in the client folder, or the code base for the client. I have a GraphQL folder, and this is going to be this is where I store all my GraphQL queries. So I have a GraphQL query. It's called get birth charts. Maybe not the best name. It should be like get birth chart. But basically, this is where I'm going to add our variable. And it's already pretty big. And so you can see that I've used a lot of fragments because we don't need to know, right? Or we don't need to retype every single, like here on the ascendant, the sun, the moon, right? That is the zodiac points fragment. So I get degree, minutes, seconds, and the sign name. So I'm using fragments pretty extensively already in here, but I just wanted to kind of take a minute to explain what that was. And so I'm just going to put the variable in here. Make sure that it lines up, and then we need to go and we need to grab that variable field fragment, and we're going to stick that down with our other fragments. Right here, okay. And then we're going to hop over to our just looking over here to make sure that it didn't break. So it looks like it is still working. So we're going to go over to the chart page where so this is the React component. Or it's got a couple components in it. It's maybe not the best organized, but this is where this get birth charts is being called. right here in the chart page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to destructure the variables off of the birth profile here, and then I'm just going to console log them out. So just to make sure that we are getting them. Okay, so type name variable, cognition, touch, determination. Right, okay, so we have it. It's right here. Looks like we're also logging some other stuff, so maybe we should do some cleanup in some of our folders. The channels file has some logging on line 88. Let's do a little cleanup here. Channels. Line 88. Yep, right there. We don't need that. Okay, and then charts, line 63, line 43. I actually can't see what's going on here. Let me just try. Line 63. Okay, so there's a console log on line 63 that I could get rid of. Oh yeah, right there. And actually, this token is all stuff that I implemented so that you like. So right now, the way that it is if and actually I'm going to hop over to the one that's live on the internet. So if you put in a new birth chart, and then you go back home and then you go back to the charts, you have to re-enter your information. I was trying to figure out a way to not do that, but right now, I'm not worrying about that. So, okay, so we are just logging out our, let's see, go over here, save this. Okay, so now we're just logging out our variable, and we know that we've got it. So we've got cognition, determination, environment, motivation, perspective, all there. And then we are going to want to have a way to display it. So the traditional way to display variable is in the little arrows next to that are usually, you're usually going to see it like, my body graph is taller than body graphs usually are on most traditional human design apps. So let me show you genetic matrix here, right? So you usually see like the column of numbers at the same height as the body graph, and then the arrows are going to be right next to the sun and earth that they represent, right? And the nodes that they represent. So this variable is the exact position of the sun and earth within the line, and this variable is the exact position of the north and south node within the line, and same with on this side. Okay, come on, I don't need that. Cool, yeah. Genetic matrix just decides to like just die every now and then at the most inconvenient times. Okay, so I have a few options to do that. I could, that maybe the easiest would be to stretch these components and make them take up the whole space vertically. And then I would put the arrows like here and here. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me because I'm not like I've said before, I'm not a very good front-end engineer, or I've never been a professional front-end engineer. I'm more of a back-end person, but I'm up for the challenge. So let's think about this. So Yeah, I'm gonna put some borders around these objects so you can see where the components fall. So this is the chart container component, and then we're going to go into the chart page. Oh yeah, chart page is here, and it's just a selection depending on the active tab. So body graph is its own component, and then I have at the bottom here in the styles, I have some borders that I can uncomment because these are just I just use these for troubleshooting. Okay, so now you can see that we have there's like a red box around all of it, and then there's I don't think that I need to put a box around the position list component, which is this guy. Okay, so and it's called profile because that's what I called it at first before I realized that profile is actually something else in human design, and you don't. I didn't rename the whole thing. It's called a position list component. And okay, so now that is colored in, or it has a green border around it. So you can see that it is not stretched to fit the vertical height. It's just taking up its own like um, the amount of space that it wants, right? Just automatically based on the number of things in there, and we can test that um, by changing the number of items in there. So let's go into the elements. Let's grab this element. This list. And if we just, okay, if we just start deleting list items, you can see that it shrinks, right? That's something, did you know you could do? You can just go in and you can edit the HTML of a web page. It'll all come back when you reload the page. But that's kind of a fun, like a nice, it's a good troubleshooting thing. So this is an unordered list within these guys. Oh wait. Oh, okay. So the unordered list is inside of a div, and that is what. Oh, okay. So I think I actually need to the width, or sorry, the height on the unordered list, which is this. That's what this component is returning. Is saying height 100%, but there's a div that it is inside of. I believe that's up in this. Yeah, so it's this position list wrapper div. So let's go find that position list wrapper. Let's give it a height 100% and just see what happens. Okay, so now, did you see what changed? Now it is, it's floating at the top instead of centered. So then I think what I want to do is I want to make I want to basically spread out all of these elements vertically. And I don't remember exactly how to do that, so I'm going to Google it. Okay, so we're going to try adding just, oh, wait, this should probably be in the list, not in the, justify. Space evenly. Let's see if that does it. Oops, wrong one. Look at that. Boom. Okay. And we're gonna probably don't actually need to change it on the mobile view. Cool. Okay, that looks good. So now, while we're looking at this layout with all of these, with all the borders on it, so that we can see where all of our elements reside, what we're going to do here, so we need to add some elements here, one here, and we're gonna want it to take up about, this kind of space, right? And then another one on this side to display the arrows. But we don't want this. We want this to be within the body graph object. We don't want it to be outside of it. And the reason for that is that if we shrink this narrower, like up to here, we want this body graph to stay this size, but there's all this space up here and over here that is not, that isn't used, but it's still within that CSS element. So we probably want to put this inside of the body graph element itself, instead of like making a new, like another option would be to make another element that takes up like this much space and only put it in the top quarter of it on both sides. But then as the screen gets narrower, the body graph would start shrinking as well. So I think we're just going to do it here inside the body graph. So hop up to the chart page and see body graph, human design, and then we're also going to pass in variable into the body graph component, and then destructure that off of, I think I called it variables, right? Variables. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So variables, sometimes this is not there. Sometimes there's not going to be anything in here because remember this component is also used on the home page, for example, right in here. We don't want to display variables here because it's not really relevant to the weather. But we do want to display it on the chart page if we have that data. And then on the transit page, we'll get into that because I think we could put both of them. You can't see when I pointed my screen. You could put both of them right here, and then you could also have the transit variable, which I haven't personally noticed, but I also haven't tracked, so I don't know if I don't know how that works personally. So we'll work on just this. And I am going to need to pause the video and go get a cup of tea because my throat is killing me. And I will be back in just a minute, but you won't notice. Okay, I'm back. And I've got tea. Okay, so we are going to start working on the body graph component and putting the arrows in. So now we're in the body graph and we have we've got this variables thing in here, and so we're just gonna make sure we're actually getting data. Console. Yep, we've got data. We'll clean that up because I got too many console logs going on. I'm so bad about cleaning those up. Okay, so we're in the body graph component. And we have our position list, and then our body graph. Okay. So this is the SVG. That is the body graph. And for some reason, I thought this was its own React component, but it is not. Right, because, okay, so I have another, there's like the weather body graph is just this, and then the transit body graph is kind of like a copy paste of the whole thing, just with the position lists in different places, because there's 3 of them in the transit version. And the other thing is that these linear gradients right here, this was my attempt at doing the so like if you look at this one right here, gate 34, I have defined in my personality and my design. And I have not gone through and divided all of these in half, right? Like you would need to. And I think I touched on this in a previous video, but the actual channels are in the channels component, and these come from this long blob. Like this is the SVG string that creates channel 34, right? So it's not very easy to, like, you can't just like look at it and be like, oh, to divide that in half, I need to, So my idea was to just do like a gradient in there, and I didn't get very far with it. So that's what those gradients are. I think another way that might be cool would be to have it just be like stripes. Again, somebody who's better at CSS is going to be able to do that better than me. So that's what all of this is. That's just the linear gradient. And then the SVG itself has some React components inside of it, because on the home page, I keep going the wrong way. On the home page, we have this interactivity, right? So you can hover over or click on a gate in the body graph, and it will change the highlighted gate on the outside, and then it will also change the like detail pane at the bottom. So that's why the SVG is made up of React components. Kind of cool. I didn't know you could do that until I started working on this project. So, but what we can do is we can make the variables another component. So I think we'll just do that. So we'll make a new file. We'll make a new component called variables. And then this is just going to be a basic React component. So it's just an arrow function that's going to return a hello world h1 for now, right? And then I think we're going to put it right here. So So what I've just done is made a very, very simple component that just says hello world, and then imported it into my body graph component. And then if I have the variables passed in, then I will display that hello world. So that's what we should be expecting to see. There it is, right? And then we would also want to have another one over here. And let's just copy paste this. And actually, I don't want this to be, I want this to be inside the SVG because I want it to be within the view box. Yeah. So now it's not showing up as inside the view box. And that's probably because channels and centers, these components all return like fill and stroke. So SVGs, an SVG or a scalable vector graphic is it's a type of graphic for the internet that is made up of components like lines and fills. And so they have things like path and fill and stroke. And when I moved this component, which is an H1, which is an HTML tag, not a SVG tag, when I moved it into the SVG, it stopped showing up. Okay, and so what we want to do actually is we're going to make it into a path. And let's get I'm just gonna grab this from the gate. So the gate component is these little circles, right? So I'm just gonna grab one of those and we're gonna play with that as a place to start. And a lot of this is actually being passed in. So I'll get rid of some of these. Actually, we'll just do, let's do a circle. And we're just gonna put some numbers in here. So the point here right now is not to make something that looks good. The point is to make something that shows up and we can see it. And so I'm just putting kind of some garbage in it, honestly. And there we go. See, we've got a little circle here. And so what we need to do is get it to be where we want, get it to be the shape that we want, and then get it to show the information that we want. Okay. So let's think about this, right? So what we want is for these variables to be placed right here and right here. and we want them to show. So I think we're actually going to want 4 of them, one for each, right? One for each arrow. And we can look at genetic matrix as an example, right? So right here, like here, here, here. We don't need to display it the same way, but we do want to have, so we're going to need an arrow that faces either left or right, and then we're going to have 2 numbers that we're going to display, which are the color and the tone. Instead of trying to draw it from scratch, I'm going to Google SVG arrow code. And let's see. Oh, I have to pay for this. Okay. Let's put it in tutorial and see if somebody has just yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is good enough to play with. We're just going to JS fiddle around with it for a second. I don't know what this is doing, so let's just see. Okay, so that makes the head. Okay. What if these numbers? I don't know what that is doing because it doesn't seem to be changing anything when I change it. And then what if I add another one? Let's make our stroke width bigger. Okay. Um, okay. So we're gonna run with this for now. We can always make it a little nicer if we want, but we don't need the SVG tag because we're already inside an SVG. And so I'm making just an empty tag here to be the, because a JSX component can only return a single top level component. It can't have two top level components. And so we're going to just, we just have, you can just make an empty SVG. You don't have to have, like, there doesn't have to be a name for the component. It could just be like this. So let's just put in arrow here. Let's see. Doesn't show up. Oh, because it's black. Right. Colors dot pale yellow. And this should be JSX, not the string. Colors, pale yellow. Let's see. Don't see it. Okay. Let's just see if it's in our elements, right? So I'm just going to dive down into our main component here, which is our body graph. Yeah, here it is. It's right here. But it doesn't have any size. Oh, I'm gonna make it into an actual component. There it is. Cool. So what the problem there was that I had it lowercase, and React components should be uppercase. I think lowercase arrow is probably already a component, or it's like a protected word in SVG. So we have an arrow. It shows up. It is in the wrong place, but we have an arrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the variable. So what are we going to give it? We're going to give it a location, a color, tone, and direction. So I'm just passing that down into the arrow component. And then I think I'm just going to do, so like I have in the channels object, I have these like global variables for the different, like, all of the different components, right? And so everything can look itself up in this. It doesn't have to like be actually in the component. You can just index it. And so I think I'm going to do that here. And so I'm going to say, okay, so the location, and actually maybe we don't call this location. Maybe call this yeah, location's fine. Okay, upper left. Oh, and this should be an object, not an array, because it's got keys and values. Upper left, and then lower left. Okay, and then we need to figure out what those what these positions are going to be. And add commas to my object so that it doesn't get cranky at me. Okay, so what this is going to do basically is this is going to be a lookup table to figure out these. So this D here, when I change this, right, so we're going to look at it right now. So it's right here. And right now it says 2020, 80, 20. And so I'm going to change it to 40, 40, 80, 40. Okay. And it's in the same place. Okay. So let's try this to 100. So now it's longer. Okay. Let's change this to 200. No difference. Okay. Okay, and so when I changed it from 20 to 200, it went the other direction, right? Now it faces that way, and it faces that way. Okay. I'm going to make 4 of them, right? And then, okay, so I'm going to put these, I'm going to put this as variable locations. Oops. At location. Okay. You see what I'm doing? So now we have, I'm going to change this one back to 20. I've got one at 200, put one at 400, and one at 600. Let's see what happens. Valid DOM property marker end. Okay, so that. Oh, I see. Okay, these need to be JSXified. Huh, okay. Yeah, so they're here. They're just not. They're not given the right size. Okay. So somehow this lookup kind of failed. Okay, and let's just see. Are there 4 of them here? Yeah, there are. There's 4 of them that are all on top of each other. Um, oh, let's see. Let's see if I just needed to. I don't know. Okay, it's interesting. It doesn't like doing that lookup. But here we've got it. Okay. Oh, probably because I'm not passing in a location. Okay, that's what it is. It's because I'm not actually passing in a location into the arrow component, into the variables component. Easy. Okay. Or into the arrow component. I don't actually need it passed in. Oh, no, I do. I'm just going to put variables into this component. Okay. Let's just see if that one shows up now. No. Okay. Oh, this color is not fine. Okay. We're going to get rid of this for now. Okay. So it's showing up again. Okay, so we're doing the lookup. The problem is that we didn't have that. This location was undefined, and so it was giving it an undefined path. Okay, so we have, we can get rid of this variable here. We can just not that. This. We can get rid of this. We can put that in there. We can get rid of that. We still have an arrow. Okay, and so I'm going to go back and I'm going to do upper right, lower left, and lower right. Cool. So now I have 4 of them. They just look like garbage, right? Let's go back to 20 and 200 for this one. 200 and 200. See what happens. Okay, well, we've got 4. Now you can see that there's 4 arrows. 220, 200. Wait. Getting closer. This is kind of fun, right? It's just trial and error, literally. I mean, okay, so now we have 4 arrows, and we can kind of see all 4 of them. As individual arrows. So this one, 100. I'm going to change this to 200 and 120. Okay, so I've just been fiddling with these because I figure it's probably not that interesting for you to watch me just like fiddle back and forth, but I've got them positioned. So we've got the upper left is at 2200, the lower left is at 2400. So this is like X and Y, right? So X goes from left to right, Y goes from top to bottom in SVG. And so I've got all 4 of them placed. I think I might, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that placement. And so the next step is going to be to make them face either left or right, depending on the orientation of the arrow, right? And so then we're going to need to do some mathy math here. Okay, so I'm going to actually extract some of these into constants. Upper left x equals 20. Oh, actually, you know what we need is just upper x, left x, and upper y, right? Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking these numbers out of here and extracting them, and then arrow width equals 80. And then we're going to basically interpolate these into here. Okay. Wait, was that happening before? I just realized that I have an error. No, okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Unexpected end of attribute. Expected number. Okay. I don't know what that's about. We'll figure it out. Okay. And so we're going to just continue with this right now. And I'm going to interpolate all these, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so now I have interpolated all of these variables into these strings, and we still have the 4 arrows showing. So that looks good. So now we need to figure out how to make them either face left or right based on what we get in passed in. And so I'm gonna give an orientation into the arrow component. and I'm going to make some of them left and some of them right, like this, kind of randomly. So one way to do this would be to have two sets of these, and this is probably how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this into, so these are right-facing arrows. So I'm going to make this called right-facing arrows. And then I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call it left-facing arrows. But my math is going to be different, right? So it's going to be left x minus arrow width, and then left x here. Left x minus arrow width, left x, and then right x minus arrow. Okay. And so this is going to change into a conditional statement that is going to be orientation is equal to left, and it's going to be left facing arrows at location, and then otherwise it's going to be right facing arrows at location. Okay. So our right facing arrows don't look right, but that's okay. We're going to make them all right for now. And just see what kind of door we have. Okay, right, no, right is good, left is wrong. Okay. So I'm gonna switch this out, and because they're all still facing to the right, right? So I did something wrong with my math. Okay, that was it. I just should have added the arrow width to the start, and then yeah, okay, so we're good. We're good. We got left facing and we've got right facing arrows. So let's just go. We're just going to make some of them randomly right so that we see how they look. And okay, they don't line up nicely because the head, right, is here. So let's fix that. And that's here in the head ID. Okay, so I'm also going to make the ID a oh, I can make it interpolated. Okay, well. Okay. So if this arrow is 80 long, this head looks like it's probably about 20. So let's just try subtracting 20 from, nope. Well, now those line up there. Okay. This doesn't really feel, because yeah, no, that doesn't solve the problem. Of course, that doesn't solve the problem, because then I could just increase arrow width to be 100. Okay, so it's the X position of the end. The start and end are right, but the end needs to be offset by the head size. Okay, so that looks right here, but then this one. So the lower left. Okay, so what I've done here, this looks better. I think it's still, looks like it's still a little off, but no, maybe that's just my eyes playing tricks on me. Okay, so we'll call that good for now. So what I've just did is basically added a fudge factor to account for the size of the size of the arrowhead. So okay, so I'm pretty happy with these arrows. And so we're going to keep going. We're going to go and we're going to start. We're going to add the color and the tone to these arrows. I think I'm just going to do it in like right below the arrow or right above it. How would that look good? I don't know. Like I don't like this. I really don't. This doesn't mean anything to me. Like the arrow. Excuse me. Or the like circle and the triangle around it. But I want it to be legible, so I think that we can. Yeah, okay. Let me think for a minute. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just extract the variables off of the variable that we're passing in. So we have determination, environment, motivation, perspective, motivation equals variables. And then what this, we need to map. So Maybe it would be nice to have the name above it and then the meaning below it. Maybe. Okay. So we've got these guys. Okay, so maybe I'm going to change these. I'm going to change the orientation to I'm going to make these capitalized because it's capitalized in my server code, and that will help me map things out. Okay, so upper left arrow is determination. So we're going to just pass in a new field called data into the arrow, and we can get rid of the orientation. Like that. Okay, and then we can get rid of this. Oops. Okay, like that. So okay. Okay, cool. So now we have the arrows showing proper left, left, right, left, which is my arrow type. And and so now we just need to get the other data off of it, right? So we've got the color, the tone, type, and subtype. I'm just going to put those in the console so we know we still have them. Yep. Okay. So we have, we still have this error. I'll figure that out later. Yeah. So we have our type, our subtype, and our color and our tone. Okay. So I think we're going to make a new SVG element. I'm just going to go back over to the gate to just see, like, okay, so text is just a text field, and you can just put color in it for now. But before we do that, we need to have I'll probably need a color, text color for that. So, okay. Okay, I'm not seeing it, but it probably isn't because it's not here. But it's not showing up. Let's see. Yeah, they're here. It's just really, really small. Okay. So I'll give it a style. How about this? We're just going to steal this. Text. Like that. Okay, so I'm just looking at how I'm doing this in the gates, and there's this text transform property that is basically moving the text into the place that I want it. So I'm just going to copy that. And we're going to put that in here. Actually, that looks like it should go on the styles object. And we're going to give it just super basic. Still not seeing it. Yeah, see, it's here. It's just very, very tiny and not visible. Font size 1.5. That seems really small. Let's try making it 10 times as big. Okay, well, something is there. Okay, I'm not sure what's wrong. You know what? I'm actually gonna I'm gonna wrap up this video because we got our arrows displaying. So I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna get rid of this text stuff. And I'm gonna commit my code and I'm gonna take a break. wait. I don't want to commit this. Look at me remembering not to commit it. I should also not commit on domain. That was on. Okay, so draw arrows on a chart. Okay, and I'm not going to deploy because it's not finished. And also this is a client, so deploying is a little more dangerous because you got to check for regressions and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just going to end it right here. And in the next one, we'll figure out how to display the color, the tone, and stuff like that. Cool. Thanks.